So today we're going to cover military fitness. Since I'm releasing this presentation in July, I thought it was a good time when we're all usually talking about patriotism to talk about an issue of fitness in the military. So we're going to start kind of with a historical perspective and how it has changed throughout time, and then we will talk about some of the contemporary issues of fitness and nutrition in the military. So in the early 1800s, physical fitness was pretty much ignored. Military drills were emphasized, so tactical, where to be, when to shoot, things like that. But even physical fitness for recreation in the military was discouraged. After the Civil War, the United States sent some military personnel over to Europe to study especially successful French troops under Napoleon, because they were seen as very physically fit. And they learned that they had a curriculum that included gymnastics, calisthenics, swimming, and fencing. So when these military personnel came back from Europe, obviously they said, hey, these are types of things we could include, but the first recommended physical standards were being able to scale a 15-foot wall without instruments, vault a horse 15 hands high, run a mile in 8 minutes or less, 2 miles in 18 minutes or less, walk 4.5 miles in an hour, leap a 10-foot ditch, walk 3 miles with 20 pounds of gear on in an hour. In 1898, we saw the introduction of weight training in the first United States Manual of Physical Drill. So this included weight training, calisthenics, athletic games and contests, and gymnastics. Then in 1906, General Orders Number 44 was the first attempt to really implement physical fitness program for all military branches, including senior leadership. So this is when Teddy Roosevelt started taking over, and Teddy Roosevelt was an extremely fit president, one of the most fit presidents we've ever had, and he was very enthusiastic about making sure that everyone in the military had some level of accountability for their own physical fitness. So he had noticed that the new incoming recruits were starting to be held to higher standards than some of the older senior leadership, and he did not appreciate that. So this was his first attempt to really try and close that gap. And the General Orders Number 44 specifically added a 12-mile march and 18-mile infantry every single week, and a one-time 45-mile marching test. Then in 1908, Executive Order 989 from Teddy Roosevelt required all Marines to march 50 miles within 3 days, and then they had a sprint test of 200 yards, 30-second break, 300 yards, 30-second break, 200 yards. So that was an addition to his first general orders. The next big change came in 1917 at the beginning of World War I, when the individual efficiency test was created. This measured combat readiness with the following requirements: running 100 yards in 14 seconds, a 12-foot broad running jump, an unassisted 8-foot wall climb, throwing a hand grenade 30 yards into a 10-foot diameter circle, and an obstacle course run. Then in 1944, the physical efficiency test battery was added, and this included how many pull-ups you could do, 20 seconds of burpees, squat jumps, push-ups, a 100-yard piggyback run, sit-ups, and a 300-yard shuttle. In 1959, the standards changed again. Whereas previously you had to get a minimum score on each exercise, the military changed it so that you could get a total score that passes rather than the minimum score. So if you were really bad at running but you could do a bunch of push-ups, you would get in. Or if you were really bad at push-ups but you're really good at running, you could make up for your scores. And part of that reason was we were going into some more unpopular wars, and we didn't want reasons for people to be able to get out of the draft. So kind of changed the standards a little bit for that reason. And then the next big change came around 1980, where the current testing began for basic training with the 2-minute push-up test, 2-minute sit-ups, and the 2-mile run. So that's kind of, those are the basic minimum 3 exercises that they do for basic training. And then they also have the physical readiness test, which includes sprints, rows, and long jumps. And the combat readiness test, which includes slalom runs, balance beam walks, casualty drags, and ammo carries. And there is significant talk of a change coming very, very soon to these requirements, as we are seeing more and more United States youth not qualify to be able to be soldiers. Next, we're going to move into some of the different Special Forces branches and all of their specific requirements. The first Special Forces group that we're going to look at is the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs do a lot of covert operations, and also a lot of operations, obviously, that involve any type of water. So some of their requirements, competitive standards for the 500-yard swimmer is 8 minutes. That's really fast for 500 yards of swimming. Push-ups 80 to 100 without stopping, sit-ups 80 to 100 without stopping, pull-ups 15 to 20, and 1.5 mile timed run 9 to 10 minutes. So you're looking at needing to be able to be at a 6-minute mile pace for 1.5 miles. So that is the requirements for the Navy SEALs. Next we have the Army Rangers, and they have a few more additional ones here. The Army Rangers have a 2-minute limit on push-ups, and the minimum score is 49. 2 minutes of sit-ups, minimum score 59. Minimum of 6 pull-ups. Minimum 2-mile run of 15-12. Minimum 5-mile run of 40 minutes, so 8-minute miles there. Minute 16-mile hike with a 65-pound pack, 5 hours and 20 minutes, and a minimum 15 meters swim gear and 15 meters swimming with your gear. That's pass or fail. So a little bit more diverse here, and the Army Rangers are your close combat specialists that are trained to go in and get in there and really go after some of the most dangerous villains that the military identifies. The Air Force paratrooper, okay, so the paratrooper has to have a lot of different requirements, because these people are obviously jumping out of planes, so they have to be able to be the regular military version, because they're jumping into combat a lot of times, so they got to have a lot of combat experience. But they're also a lot of times medics, so they have to have medic experience, and they could be going into any style of battle. So in comparison to Navy SEALs, where they're more focused on the water, the Air Force paratrooper could be going to save a Navy SEAL, could be going to save an Army Ranger, right? So they could be going into anything, so they have to have a little bit different requirements. So their test is 25 meters underwater times 2, so at 2 times through, and you got to get that within 3 minutes. And then you have a 500-meter freestyle swim. They have to get that less than 10 minutes. Then they get 30 minutes rest. Then they have a 1.5-mile run. They have to get that in less than 10 minutes. Then they have a 10-minute rest. Then they have to do 10 pull-ups or more. Then they have a 2-minute rest. They have to do 54 sit-ups or more. 2-minute rest, 52 push-ups or more. So it's all back to back to back with theirs, so a little bit different than the other two. Then you have the Army Special Forces. So the Army Special Forces is kind of like your all-around group of Special Forces. They will do some covert stuff. They will do some very combative stuff. They will do some search and rescue stuff. So they are kind of the general special forces. So they have the most requirements here. They have they do 1 minute push-ups, and they have to have a minimum of 40. 1 minute of sit-ups, minimum of 40. Pull-ups not timed, they have to have a minimum of 6. Dips not timed, minimum of 6. Bench press 80% of their body weight, they have to be able to do that at least 6 times. 20-foot rope climb in body armor, which is 25 pounds. That is, they just have to be able to do it once. That's really, really, really hard. 1 minute kip ups, and have to be able to do 6 of those, and 25 meters shuttle run 4 times. They have to do that within 24 seconds. Then they have a 5-mile run, and that is a maximum of 40 minutes, so 8 miles per minute, or 8 minutes per mile. And then they also have a 5-mile march with 45-pound pack, and they have to do that in 75 minutes. So that is really, really fast for doing a 45-pound pack of marching. So when we talk about military fitness, we can't really separate that from nutrition, as nutrition creates the fitness body that you're trying to achieve. So military's emphasis on nutrition really started towards the end of World War II, as they were trying to use that as a competitive advantage, and we threw a bunch of resources into that type of scientific discipline with research scientists, and out of that actually came the food pyramid that most of us know pretty well from school, and also the recommended dietary allowances that we see. So on the back of every single thing that you go and buy at the grocery store, you see a percentage of your daily recommended allowances. That came from World War II nutrition research through the military. Nutrition became a national security issue during the Cold War because communism would appeal to people, saying that it was giving out free food. So the military became worried and actually propagandized some nutritional videos during this time, especially with an emphasis on grains and dairy, because America produced so much grains and dairy at the time that that would help American families eat and American farmers to be productive. The food on military bases contemporarily is an issue nowadays. So most bases have kind of like a buffet area, so you can kind of go in and pick what you want. This is obviously after basic training, but active military personnel that are living on the bases get to see this kind of buffet style food, and they can pick from a wide range of things. There are definitely some healthy options, but you can also go in and get a cheeseburger every single day and French fries. So recently they have put up all of the nutritional information on grids, and these grids have green, yellow, and red markers as to which ones are the best and the least, respectively. But 2/3 of our nation's active military personnel are considered overweight or obese. So that does go by BMI, and I think that BMI is a really ridiculous way to calculate overweight or obesity, just simply because I have a body fat percentage that's in the elite level, and I'm tinkering on overweight because of BMI, just because of my height and weight proportions. And a lot of military members would be in the same circumstances. They're very strong and have a lot of muscle on them, so BMI is not really a great indicator of that. Regardless, there are still some issues with diet and weight in the military. And then additionally, 71% of people between 17 and 24 years old fail to qualify for military service, based mainly on their health and fitness nowadays. So that's a scary stat. If we don't have enough healthy people for our military, then we don't have a way to protect our country. The last thing I want to mention is MREs. So you may know this is the ready-to-eat meals. and these are what the servicemen and women will eat when they're out in the field. They have come a long way. They were invented towards the end of World War II, and they were really, kind of bland back then. But now we actually have tried these in one of my previous presentations, and they're really tasty. They're all in one little box. It comes with a warmer, so you can get chili, you can get lasagna, you can get a bunch of different stews, and the warmer warms it all up while it's in the box, and you have a warm kind of meal there. And then you always have some nuts and some crackers and some coffee and all kinds of stuff like that. And they come with between 1,300 and 1,600 calories in one package. So it's a ton of calories. It's designed for you to get that, because you are in circumstances where you're burning a lot of calories and energy when you're out in the field. But it does also have a huge amount of sodium in all these, because you're trying to create a much longer shelf life.